Today we're making chicken cacciatore. Now this is an Italian dish that literally means chicken hunter, so it's going to have chicken in it. Sometimes they put rabbit in it, but we're doing chicken today. And it's kind of like a stew if you're not familiar with it, but it can be served over pasta, rice, mashed potatoes, or if you want to go low carb, you can do zoodles, which is what I'm going to do today, and or cauliflower rice or cauliflower mash. I'm going to be cooking this in the Instant Pot, so if you have one of those, you can make it. If you don't, you can still make this dish easily just by putting it on the stove and letting it simmer for just, maybe an hour. So I'm Rockin' Robin, and I'm going to show you how to make it right after my chef joke. All right, we're going to start off here with chef joke number 1, and number 2 is going to be a little bit later in the video, so stay tuned. All right, so why did the duck cross the road? Because he wanted to prove that he wasn't chicken. Okay, so to start off our recipe, I'm going to be working on some of the vegetables that are going into this. I'm going to be using a little bit of onion, celery, and carrot, and what that is a mirepoix. And mirepoix is a French term that means flavor base. And this is how you get a lot of flavor into your recipes. Now the chicken I recommend for using in this recipe is bone-in, skin-on chicken thighs. It's better than chicken breast because it doesn't dry out, and I think it's just so much better. So I'm going to season these both sides with salt and pepper. And the reason we want to use skin on, if we can, you don't have to, but it just adds more flavors because that extra fat does add a little more flavor, and it helps to stick on the bottom of your pan, and that's the fond that adds more flavor to the dish. So fire up your cast iron pan over medium-high heat. We want this pan to be nice and hot. Add a little bit of olive oil and then swirl it around so it coats the bottom of the pan. Lay the thigh pieces in, skin side down. I'm going to let these sear up for a good 5 minutes or until they're a nice golden brown. This is how you want them to look. After you cook these on the second side for about 5 minutes, then go ahead and take them out and put them on a clean plate. Turn the temperature to low and add a little bit of olive oil to the pan. Now I want you to notice the brown bits stuck to the bottom of the pan. This is what we want. This is flavor. Now to this we're going to add our mirepoix, or the carrots, onion, and celery. So as we cook this, the onions and carrots and celery are going to pick up all those brown bits, and that's going to really make them taste great. I'm also going to add just a little touch of salt. Now I'm going to saute this for about 10-11 minutes or so, and I'm going to cover it because I want the heat to cook those carrots, the steam. So after about 10 minutes or so, we're going to test these, take the lid off and give them a stir, and then poke them with a fork. Now that they're soft, we can add some tomato paste and garlic. Push the carrot mixture to the side, and then lay the tomato paste right in the center so it's touching the pan. This is going to help create some nice caramelization and flavor to the dish. Smash the tomato paste down to the bottom of the pan, spread it out a little bit, and let it caramelize like that for about a minute. Give it a stir and let it cook for about another minute. Okay, now I'm just going to work it in. And we're going to add 4 cloves of garlic, and we're going to cook that for a minute. Okay, next we're going to add some red wine to deglaze the pan, and then we'll let this cool so we can put it in the blender. I'm using a Cabernet here, but feel free to use whatever you have. Okay, we are ready. This is cooled enough. We're going to place this into my Vitamix. Now my mixture is going to be thick, and that's really what I want because I want this to have a thicker sauce. So I'm going to let this mirepoix do it for me naturally. But I am going to add a little bit of chicken broth to this just to get it a little bit thin and easy to mix. So now we're ready to place everything into the Instant Pot, starting off here with our sauce. You can see how thick this is. Next, we're going to add a can of diced fire-roasted tomatoes. Because the sauce is still a bit thick, I'm going to add just a little bit more chicken broth to it. Next up, I chopped up some baby bella mushrooms, and we're going to add that to the pot. Next, we're adding some fresh herbs from my garden, and this makes it just spectacular. So I'm going to be using lots of fresh basil, rosemary, and thyme. Chop it all up and then add it to the pan. With the fresh thyme, you're just going to peel off the petals and then chop those up. I don't have fresh oregano growing in my garden, so we're going to use dried. Here I'm going to use about a teaspoonful. For the rosemary, I just tossed in the whole stem, and I'll remove that before I serve it. Now it's time to add the chicken, but before we do, I'm going to remove the skin. Then I'll set the thighs right in the sauce. Last, I'm going to add some black pitted olives. We'll give this a little toss, and then we're ready to cook it. So we're going to pressure cook this for about 15 minutes, and then we'll do a slow release for about 10. It's got to be that time for chef joke number 2, right? All right, let's do it. What sound does a negative rooster make? Cock-a-doodle-don't. All right, so I'm going to take I have a warmed up cast iron pan here, and I'm going to pour the mixture or scoop it in there so you can see it better. It looks fantastic, by the way. This smells so delicious too. So I'm going to finish this up with a little garnish of fresh parsley and basil. Now I'm just going to roll and cut my basil so it's in nice small pieces. So this garnish adds to the look of the dish and also adds more flavor. Now I'm going to serve this dish, like I said earlier, over some zoodles, but you could do certainly mashed potatoes would be wonderful. Regular rice, or, for a low carb version, you could do cauliflower rice or even cauliflower mash. A great recipe to serve with today's video are my garlic mashed potatoes with brown butter. You're going to love that. Click the link here on the screen, go check it out. You'll love having these for this dish and many others. Thanks for watching today. If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to subscribe and smash the like button to let me know. All right, we'll see you back here next week for another Rockin' recipe.